You see a price tag. It says $199, but right next to it, crossed out in red, is $500. And without thinking, something in your brain lights up. You feel like you are winning. You feel smart. You feel like you just found something other people missed. But here is what nobody tells you. You were never in control of that feeling. Someone put it there on purpose, and it has been running your financial decisions your entire life. This is called the anchoring effect, and once you understand it, you will never look at a price the same way again.
In the 1970s, two psychologists named Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky ran a simple experiment. They spun a wheel. The wheel was rigged to land on either 10 or 65. Then they asked people a completely unrelated question. What percentage of African nations are in the United Nations? The people who saw the wheel land on 65 guessed much higher numbers than the people who saw it land on 10. A random, meaningless number had pulled their estimate in its direction. The first number they saw became an anchor, and their brain never fully let go of it.
That experiment changed how economists and behavioral scientists think about human decision-making, because what Kahneman and Tversky found was not a quirk. It was a feature of the human brain. Your mind does not evaluate information in a vacuum. It always reaches for a starting point, a reference, an anchor. And whatever that anchor is, it shapes everything that comes after it. Now apply that to your money, every single day. You walk into a furniture store. There is a couch priced at $4,000. Right beside it, another couch, $900. Your brain does not think about whether you need a couch or whether $900 is objectively expensive. It compares. The $900 couch feels like a deal. You did not come in planning to spend $900, but now you are seriously considering it. The $4,000 couch was never meant to be sold. It was put there to make the $900 couch feel reasonable. You were anchored before you even sat down. This is not theory. This is retail science. Economist Dan Ariely wrote about this in his research on irrational decision-making. He showed that the first price you see changes the prices you are willing to pay for everything that follows. Stores know this. Restaurants know this. Real estate agents know this. The most expensive item on the menu is rarely ordered, but it makes everything else feel affordable. The anchor is doing exactly what it was designed to do. And here is where it gets personal. Think about your salary. When you got your first job offer, you were given a number. Maybe it felt low, maybe it felt high. But from that moment on, every raise, every negotiation, every career decision you made was compared to that original number. Not to what you were worth, not to market rate, to the anchor. If your starting salary was $30,000, a jump to $38,000 feels like progress. But if your anchor had been $50,000, that same $38,000 would feel like failure. Same number, completely different emotional response, because the anchor changed. This is why salary negotiation is so critical, and why most people lose it before they even start. Research from organizational psychologist Adam Galinsky shows that whoever states the first number in a negotiation sets the anchor for the entire conversation. If you let an employer anchor you low, you are already negotiating uphill. Every counteroffer you make is being evaluated against their number, not yours. The same dynamic plays out in investing. You buy a stock at $80. It drops to $50. You hold, you wait. Why? Because $80 is your anchor. That is what it is supposed to be worth in your mind. So $50 feels temporary. It feels wrong. You are not evaluating the stock on its current fundamentals. You are evaluating it against the price you paid. This is one of the most common and costly mistakes in personal investing. Holding a losing position not because of logic, but because of an anchor. Nobel Prize-winning economist Richard Thaler called this kind of thinking a cognitive trap. You are not thinking about where the stock is going. You are thinking about where it has been. And that backward-looking anchor is costing you money while you wait for a price
that may never return. So, what do you actually do about this?
The first step is awareness. You cannot fight an anchor you cannot see. Start asking yourself, what number did I see first? Where did this reference point come from? Is this price actually reasonable, or does it only feel reasonable because of something I saw right before it? These are not complicated questions, but most people never ask them. They trust the feeling of a deal without examining where the feeling came from.
The second step is to create your own anchors. Before you walk into a negotiation, a store, or an investment decision, set your number first. Research what something is actually worth. What is the market rate for your role? What is the fair value of this stock? What is the average price of this item? When you arrive with your own anchor, you are far less vulnerable to someone else's. You are no longer starting from their reference point. You are starting from yours. The third step is to separate emotions from comparisons. When something feels like a deal, pause. Ask yourself, a deal compared to what? If the answer is another price tag in the same store, you are being anchored. If the answer is independent research and your own financial goals, you are thinking clearly. The difference between those two answers is often hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars over a lifetime. Here is what makes the anchoring effect so powerful and so dangerous. It does not feel like manipulation. It feels like common sense. It feels like smart shopping, smart investing, smart negotiating. But that feeling is the trap. Because anchors work best when you are most confident you are not being influenced by them. You started this video seeing a crossed-out price and feeling like you were winning. Now you know? The real question is not whether you got a deal. The real question is who set the starting line. Because in most financial decisions you have ever made, someone else set it before you arrived. And your job from this point forward is to set it yourself. That is the only way to stop playing a game where the rules were written for someone else's benefit.